When it comes to learning inequalities, this is one of my favorite exercises where we have to fill in the words, the symbols, and the graphs, all right, used for each one. All right, in this little exercise here, we're given kind of one of each of those things, and we have to fill in the other two. So for example, this first one, they give us the inequality, they give us in the symbols, x is less than 5. So you can literally write out the words exactly like that sounds. X is less than 5. Okay, as far as the graph goes, I typically like to use 0 and then the number I'm working with. All right, so here it's going to be 0 and 5, and just make sure you put those on the right side of each other. 0 on the number line comes to the left of 5. Now, if it is just a less than or a greater than without the equal to sign, it's not going to be a closed dot. So this was going to be an open dot at 5. And then as long as the variable comes first, you can literally shade the way that this is pointing. So here it's pointing to the left, so I'm going to shade to the left, right? What I mean by that is if I were to kind of recopy that symbol and make it into an arrow, well, it's pointing that way, right? So that's kind of how you can think of it, maybe that way. All right, let's try the next one. Here they give us the graph, okay? And we can kind of go backwards. Let's start with the symbols, and then we'll do the words. So here we have -6, so I'm going to need an x and a -6. It's a closed dot, so it's going to be something or equal to, and then it's going to the left, so I can say x is less than or equal to -6. Once you have that, x is less than or equal to -6, again, you can fill it in exactly like those words sound. X is less than or equal to -6. Got another symbols one. This is a greater than or equal to. X is greater than or equal to -19. So just again, be careful when you put it on your graph that your -19 comes to the left of 0. All right, it's going to be a closed dot this time, and then we're going to shade. If I were to make this into an arrow, we're going to shade it that way. Now remember, you can only do that if the variable comes first. If it doesn't, you might want to switch it. For example, this is the same thing. If I were to say -19 is less than or equal to x, well, there the variable doesn't come first. So you might want to switch that first so it does, and then you can shade the way that that symbol is pointing. Okay, the words for that one, x is greater than or equal to -19. Let's write that down. Now, if you want to get fancy, I don't suggest that. I usually suggest doing it as simple as possible. That's going to be the fastest and it's going to be probably the most accurate usually. But if you do want to get fancy, you could say something like x is at least 19. All right, that way it has to be greater than or equal to. So it has to be at least -19, I should say. So that's one thing that you could do there. All right, let's try the next one. This one, they give us the words. They do give us kind of fancy words. And this one says x is larger than 10. All right, so if I were to kind of put 0 and 10 on a number line, if it's larger than 10, does that include 10? No, it doesn't. So it's going to be a open dot, but it is going to be everything bigger than 10. So that's why I like to put 0 as well. It's kind of like a test point. If x has to be bigger than 10, well, I know 0 is not, so I'm going to shade the other way. So it's going to be shaded this way. And now we can take that and turn it into an inequality with symbols. So again, I need an x and a 10. It's open and shaded that way, so I can just say greater than. X is greater than 10 or x is larger than 10. Those mean the exact same thing. All right, this last one, very, very similar. In fact, just with 9, I can say x is greater than 9, but instead of using fancy words, I'm going to say just x is greater than 9. All right, and so that's how you go from words to symbols to graphs with inequalities.